Dear viewers from the Diaspora in Armenia, we are continuing our interviews with the guests and speakers of the Global Armenian Summit. And now at our studio, I have the pleasure to host Theodora Constantinidou, Head of the Service for Overseas and Repatriated Cypriots. Thank you very much for joining our summit this year, and thanks for being a guest at our studio. First of all, I would like to know your impressions about this summit.
Thank you very much for the invitation to be a part of the discussions we are holding here, and congratulations for your accent in Greek. I'm very, very glad and honored to be invited to be a part of this conference. It's been now 3 days. I have watched very interesting discussions which shown one basic element for me. First of all, they underpin the bond which exists between the Armenian people and the people of Cyprus. And secondly, they underline the challenges we face as diaspora, which seem to be horizontal, they are common. So we had the opportunity to discuss on these challenges, exchange views or practices on how we are dealing on them. We heard very clearly the voice of the Armenian diaspora in a lot of workshops, and for me it was, apart from an honor, an extremely interesting experience.
Oh, thank you very much. Thanks for those nice words. And you were also a speaker at this session, which was dedicated to identity, language. So what do you think, what makes a person's identity in the diaspora? And what is the key aspect that a person maybe should follow to keep his national identity living in diaspora?
I will reply to that in full sincerity. When I was posted as head of the diaspora service in Cyprus, my personal assumption and my perception it was that language is the most important element of the Cypriot or Greek identity. By working together and hearing our compatriots that they live abroad, and due to various experiences I had, I mentioned one incident during my intervention in the panel, I realized that language, it is indeed a very important element of the identity, but now I don't count it as the most important element of the identity. And why I say that? Because through the encounters I had with the diaspora and through personal experiences, I realized that the most important thing is the feeling, the self-definition somebody gives to his or her identity. Mm-hmm. So it is the first material I think we need in order to build on. Somebody has to have this connection with a nation, an ethnos, the home country. Yes. So this gives you the corridor, the way to build on customs, tradition, religion, civilization, communication, so many other parts of an identity to reinforce what he or she has decided that determines him or her as an identity, as a nationality. Mm-hmm. So what we are doing right now in Cyprus,
I was going to ask about the policy.
Sorry.
Yeah, no, go ahead.
I told you, diplomats, we talk a lot.
Yes.
So based on this outcome of our discussions with our diaspora, what we are doing now is revising our strategy and our action plans. We are in consultation with our diaspora to hear what are the specific languages they face in each country, because in each country there are different conditions under which our diaspora lives, which create different challenges and different added values when it comes to the preservation of the identity. So we are in dialogue with the people who are living in all these countries, so as to define actions that they will be targeted specifically on their needs. We want to hear them. Yesterday, the ambassador of the European Union underlined the importance of partnership. And this is how we view our relation with our diaspora. We consider this to be a partnership. So in a partnership, as in marriage, you have to hear with respect each other, because the headquarters, the homeland, we have restrictions in the budget, for example. We would like to do 1 million things, but there are these reservations when it comes to money. So we give them this kind of information about the capacity we have to stand by them and support their efforts, and we hear them so as to plan specific actions that they will enable them to reserve and reinforce their identity.
And how big is the diaspora right now, nowadays?
It's very interesting in the case of Cyprus, because as a population in Cyprus, we are around 1 million nowadays, and we have almost equal diaspora abroad. Usually numbers, they are not like this in the other cases of diaspora. We have around 850,000 Cypriots, Greek Cypriots, and Turkish Cypriots living abroad. So by the fact itself, there is an element of equality. So we have to hear each other in full understanding and respect, so as hand in hand to proceed and preserve our identity.
I would like to touch upon also the cooperation between the diaspora offices, services of different countries, because we know that not every country has a diaspora service or diaspora office, or some services, they are just multifunctioning. I mean, also having, also covering the diaspora issues, but at the same time also covering other aspects of the work. So, my question relates to the importance of that cooperation. Since, for example, Armenia and Cyprus, they have already established cooperation, between our entities. So, what is the exact importance for experience exchange? Because it's not a sphere that is globally represented, yes, and it's not mechanism that we can say that one size fits all. We can follow that formula.
I fully agree with you, and you're absolutely right when you say that there are different formats of institution in each country. And this does not create a problem, though, to cooperate, because what is important is the determination for cooperation in order to promote first the bonds between 2 or 3 countries, and secondly, to commonly support our diasporas abroad. In this sense, Cyprus and Armenia, we are sharing for centuries. We are historically, unfortunately, bonded by the same unfortunate historical events. So when it comes to historical experience, we have a lot in common. Apart from that, we have a very distinguished Armenian community in Cyprus, which we honestly cherish, because it's a very positive presence in Cyprus, and it enriches this multicultural element of the Cypriot society in a very positive way, because there is always a negative aspect of this multiculturalism. That's another issue for discussion, though.
Yes, that's true.
What we, apart from this, let us say, nature and spontaneous bond which ties our two nations, we have signed a bilateral memorandum of understanding with the High Commissioner's Office, Mr. Sinanian, in order to cooperate more closely on specific issues which are of common interest for our two countries. And this is very important memorandum of understanding. It was signed in 2017. And further to that, we went one step ahead and we signed a trilateral memorandum of understanding with Greece. So we have these,
3 countries.
We have with again,
yeah.
common historical
Absolutely.
references. So we use these platforms of cooperation in order to exchange opinions and practices, best practices, in order to enable our diasporas to develop under these harsh conditions we face globally. But apart from that, we plan actions that they will develop further the communication, the human communication between our people, regardless the place where they are residing in. So we had a kind of stagnation in our action during the COVID period, unfortunately, which put us under restriction of movement. But we have talked with Mr. Sinanian yesterday. I had the pleasure to have a very fruitful exchange of views, and we decided to immediately start organizing and implementing all the measures we left behind because of the pandemic. So in replying in short to your question, it's very important to have these platforms of cooperation and communication, because we learn the one from the other,
yes.
and we reinforce our actions, and we put our diasporas too in a track of cooperation which reinforces the impact the diasporas have in the places where they live. And this is very important too.
That's true. I hope that this cooperation will thrive and will deepen in future, and all the steps that are written in different documents will be implemented fully. Thank you very much for this opportunity, for the interview, and of course for joining our Global Armenian Summit.
Thank you very much too, and I hope all the best, and I wish from my heart all the best for Armenia and the Armenian people.
Thank you very much. Same to Cyprus and to people of Cyprus.
Thank you very much.